Miami is a paradise for Americans and tourists from all over the world who try to escape from cold temperatures. Miami is a fun city, malls, five-star hotels, and luxurious nightlife. But behind this facade, there is another America.
It's a fantasy, it's a make-believe. It's when people comes here from other places, they believe that they're gonna get the American dream or something like that. In reality, what they get is that they become slaves of the system of consumerism, and their life revolves around money. Their personal relationships are destroyed. Their heart, their soul is lost.
The other side of Miami is Overtown, located just a few miles apart from the Miami Beach tourist area. A totally different city where homeless, drug dealers, and people rejected from society found a place to settle. Here, Rodrigo started his journey to hear his voice.
And this was the way I took. I came out this door on faith, only the word of God, bread, water, faith, and walked this way 400 miles, 40 days. And he fed me.
People who knew Rodrigo saw his transformation to Mr. Peace, a mystical person who has the ideals to build a better world for the forgotten people. America was changing, and he knew that it was time to take action. In 2008, the recession reached the bottom. Mortgage crisis, financial instability, and crash of the banking system provoked layoffs and firings that pulled thousands of employees out of work. The American dream was vanishing.
Because Occupy brought together people from the left and the right who were just generally dissatisfied with the way things were. Unfortunately, they didn't have a very sophisticated way of explaining what the problem was, and they really didn't have a program of reform. And I think part of the problem is because they didn't have a theoretical frame. They had to borrow the ideas of the system that they were criticizing.
Wall Street was a scenario chosen by the people who wanted to protest against the corporate greed. The protesters called themselves the 99% who were excluded from the top 1% who controlled the financial system.
I'm here because history to me has proven that the system that we live under isn't working. Even what parts we do argue about does work just leads to an accepted amount of suffering and exploitation for a certain large percentage of the population.
I'm Juan Morales, and I'm here at Occupy Miami because we're fighting because another city is possible. Right now we have a city that is not working, a city whose transportation system is not responsive to the needs of the population, that is not responsive to the fact that Miami is going to be underwater in this century, that is not responsive to global warming. It's not responsive to the needs of its immigrant population.
This isn't a left movement. This isn't a right movement. This isn't a leftist Tea Party. We're not hippies. We're not communists. We are a diversity of opinions.
As a domino effect, the movement spread out quickly and reached the Sunshine State. A group of people occupied the park at the Miami Government Center by mid-October, a month later of the establishment of Occupy Wall Street.
Here we have like the Empire, and we sat right in front of it, and this was the entrance to Peace City, and people would come through here. All these were tents, all this way, and right here was the tent where I was staying. So we had a big circle right here.
This was the sign that Rodrigo, now turned Mr. Peace, was waiting for, a movement that will change society. During the occupation, the protesters did sit-downs at banks, marches against corporations, and spread propaganda to recruit more troops.
If you look around and you ask for permission to do something, you are a slave. We show the way how to be free.
The group was demonized because of the lack of a coherent message. Others called them hippies. However, they kept occupying the park. Nor the high tropical temperatures or rain discouraged the group. After 4 months, they received a notice to leave the park.
Everybody here is now under arrest. You are to hit the ground now. Hit the ground. You are under arrest.
On the night of the eviction, January 31st, 2012, police surrounded the camp at the Miami Government Center. The occupiers did not want to give up and started a peaceful resistance.
The police will do like their strategy. They will make their moves. They will make their moves, and we will make our moves. And like they pushed us all the way to the streets over there. They cornered us, sort of, and some of us were taken. Some of us were beaten down. We were told that we were going to be arrested if we would stay here. So, yeah, like there will be a lot of oppression in this area.
Carlos Miller, one of the journalists who witnessed the eviction, said that he was arrested with no reason. A member of the Miami Police Department went after him because he was covering the story.
And I was arrested by the public information officer, Major Nancy Perez, who is the head of the media relations department. And basically she said I failed to disperse or refused to disperse when they had ordered it. And I was put in handcuffs, they took my cameras, and I was rolling. I was filming the whole time up to the arrest, and even including my arrest. And their photographer, their videographer walked up, and he recorded part of my arrest as well. But when I got out of jail the next day, I spent maybe like 12 hours in jail. I discovered that the footage from my camera was deleted, that particular clip, the last clip.
The Miami Police Department started advancing to the camp and started to dismantle the area. The confrontation was inevitable. The occupiers and witnesses of the event testified to some acts of police brutality.
There were some barricades right there. They didn't stop the police for long. Basically, we had a face-to-face with the police. There was the line of the police and there was our line, and we were face-to-face with them, and we were explaining them why they were oppressing the people, why they were working for the wrong side.
Some protesters were arrested. After several hours, the Miami police cleared the camp, but this was not the end of the movement. For some of its members, this was a turning point for the movement. After the eviction, Mr. Peace opened his $1.5 million building to 40 protesters of Occupy Miami movement. Mr. Peace renamed his building as Peace City.
Behind me, it is Peace City. Peace City is a model of the new era, model for the model of living among humans that are not using each other but loving each other. This is a space free of imposers and hierarchies.
It's supposed to be a new beginning, a place where everybody was welcome to live in and share the hope of the better world. The remaining occupiers were optimistic about this second phase of the movement.
Peace gave us the opportunity to stay here, to change something. A lot of people didn't want to change something, you know what I mean? So we're just gonna, Peace gave us this, he gave us this piece of opportunity. And he gave us his respect. We came here, this is his home, he invited us here. Basically, we're just gonna stand and fight for him, you know?
But not everybody in Peace City shared the same ideals and started to cast doubts about the direction that the movement was heading. After months of stagnation, they felt frustration and fatigue.
No tenemos agua ni para lavar aquí las vasijas, para nosotros tener algo que cocinar. Tenemos algo aquí en la nevera, tenemos pan y todo para darle comida por un día a las personas aquí. Por lo tanto, ahora mismo nos encontramos en una situación bien grave, porque si nos sacan de aquí, se van a meter todos esos tecatos van a utilizar este edificio como un hospitalillo para ellos curarse, usar drogas. Ya se está viendo, poco a poco están entrando.
Peace City got international press attention when 2 former Occupy Miami activists were arrested and charged for terrorism plot against the G20 meeting in Chicago, a meeting where the 20th wealthiest nations in the world meet to discuss world economic policies.
There certainly was some evidence suggesting that they were up to no good, that maybe they were going to do this. The real question is whether it was there's something they were going to go through with, or if they were just going to make a scene, or if they were actually trying to hurt somebody. But either way, it was a real black eye on the Occupy movement, and it was an embarrassment for people here in Miami who were associated with the Occupy movement. So,
to make things more difficult, some tenants kept complaining about the occupiers. They spread allegations of drug use, pedophilia, and theft. A tenant who had a criminal record for prostitution demanded a strong action against the occupiers.
Most of the people from Occupy were always fighting with each other. They always had issue. Every day, poor city of Miami police officers wasted taxpayers' money to come out here and put up with their bullshit, excuse my language, their crap. All they do is drink. All they do is get high. They don't care. They don't.
All over again, Peace City was a scenario of confrontation. In the middle of the day, a Miami Police Department squad raided the building and arrested Mr. Peace under charges of kidnapping and obstruction of justice.
This building is like the Inquisition. Here's where they come to torture the people, and like whoever doesn't go along their plans, well, here's where they end up. After the occupation, Peace City was moved out of there. We went to a building, and in the building, the city sent a squad team with long guns, rifles, put everybody on the ground. They beat up a bunch of our friends. They intimidated them. And they also made false statements against me, by which they sent me over here. Thank God that everything was caught on tape, and everything that they say turned out to be a lie.
While Mr. Peace was in jail, his family came from Colombia to Miami in order to vacate the building. The new eviction was another confrontation in a building where peace was only present in its name.
Maybe when he came with the first people, maybe it was a city of peace. But then, as I told you, the other people took advantage and came too, and they started doing drugs and even prostitution and started doing lies and stuff like that. So it didn't go for so peacefully. I mean, they even hit him, punched him, and I don't know how many times. So the peace didn't go as he was planned to. It was too utopic. It's hard. I don't know how to do it. He tried this way, but it didn't go his way.
What did Occupy Miami and the other movements across the country achieve? What did they accomplish after camping at public spaces and protesting against corporate America? The opinions were mixed.
What happened here was that really nothing was accomplished. We do have a lot of rallies. We do have a lot of how do I put it, political statements that we put out. We have flyers. We have a lot of information towards the public. But as far as Occupy, I see this as mainly a fail in the visual contents of Occupy, because really nothing was accomplished here.
However, for some analysts, the Occupy movement had a positive outcome. The protesters put on the table something that was hidden before. Two Americas, the wealthy America and the forgotten one.
That Occupy did have a significant impact in terms of shaping the national discourse on inequality. You have to realize that Occupy was criticizing two things. They were criticizing the distribution. They were saying that there was a problem with inequality itself. with the fact that over the last couple of decades, the rich have gotten dramatically richer, and that the middle class has suffered, and that the poor have lost position. That was one criticism. But they were also criticizing discourse. They were criticizing the fact that, and by that I mean representation in the media and in general. And by that I mean they were criticizing the fact that this reality, that the reality of inequality was absent from media and from national discourse.
The new phase of Occupy Miami movement is not crystal clear. Some people left the building, others returned to their regular jobs, and the rest who remain in Peace City are not sure about its future.
Phase 1 was, we were intense. Phase 2, we were in the building. I wonder what phase 3 is gonna be. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to figure it out. So that's my final message.
Whether the outcome was positive or negative, the movement is far from vanishing. Leaders like Mr. Peace persist in his ideals of a different world. People call him idealist. Others call him crazy, but he has his own version of his convictions.